Welcome to the School of Education. I am Dr. Chiara Bacigalupa. I am the Associate Dean of the School of Education, and I'm also the Department Chair for the Department of Early Childhood Studies. We're so happy that you're here. We're so excited to see you. Really wish that we could see you in person, but that's okay. This is what we have right now, and it's pretty fun to try it out anyway. Four of my colleagues are going to be presenting with me today, and we're going to tell you about the programs in the School of Education that we think are most relevant to you right now when you're just starting your college career. So we're going to start with Early Childhood Studies, which is the major that we have in the School of Education, and Dr. Ayumi Nagase is going to be talking to you about that major. And then the other programs that we're going to talk to you about are if you want to become a teacher. So the way that that works in California is you get your BA in any major that you like, and then you complete a credential program. So today we're going to have Dr. Rihanna Casesa is going to talk to you about the multiple subject credential program. That's what you would complete if you want to be an elementary school teacher. Dr. Fawn Kennedy is going to talk to you about the single subject credential program. That's the program you would complete if you want to be a high school teacher. And then Dr. Elizabeth Ducey is going to talk to you about the Education Specialist Credential Program, and that's the one that you would complete if you want to be a special education teacher. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen right now. So we're going to be flipping back and forth between our faces and our screens, depending on whether we want to give you some visual information or we just want to be talking to you. Okay. Our slides this morning start with the mission of the School of Education. We're especially proud of our focus on closing the equity gaps and graduating students who have the knowledge and skills that they need to make a difference out in the world. And for us, we're not just concerned about pre-K through grade 12, we're especially concerned about the students that we work with, right? The students who are here in the School of Education. We go out of our ways every day to make sure that you are supported and that we can help you get to the goals that are important to you. And the good news is that careers in working with children in education right now are super high demand, and our graduates tend to get positions easily. Employers tell us that they really like the way that we prepare our students. So that's the good news. There's lots of good news, actually. Okay. Okay, so I already told you these are the four programs that we are going to be talking about today. After we describe each program, we're going to pause and we're going to leave a few minutes to answer some questions. So if you have questions, what we would like you to do is type them into the chat box. And we're monitoring the chat box and we're gathering those questions together. And we'll do our best to answer as many of them as we can today. However, we're likely to run out of time, not able to answer every single question. So we'll also give you information about who you can contact if you want to, if your question doesn't get answered and you want to contact us. Okay, so here is some of that contact information. This is very general. We'll give you more specific contact information as we go through the program as well. But basically the best place to start is always the School of Education website. And that's also a place where you can go and find some of the contact information as well. But we give you lots and lots of information about our programs. If you have questions about the ECS major specifically, you can mail them to early.childhood.studies@sonoma.edu. And you have questions about our teacher credential programs, you can mail them to credentials.office@sonoma.edu. I'm going to put this slide up again later at the end of this program. So if you don't have time to write all of this down or take a screenshot or whatever you're doing right now, I will put it up again and you'll have another chance to do that. Okay, and then we know you have lots and lots of questions about COVID-19 situations. So, you know, it's a changing situation and we don't have any answers for you right now. We're expecting to start in the fall as usual. That's what we are planning for. However, you should keep checking our website, and that's there, the COVID-19 website at sonoma.edu. And then you also can email specific questions to COVID-19@sonoma.edu. Okay, so let's get started. The first program that we want to talk about today is the Early Childhood Studies major and minor, and Dr. Ayumi Nagase is going to take you through this.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Pachikalupa. And good morning, everyone. And my name is Ayumi Nagase, and I'm assistant professor here at the Department of Early Childhood Studies. And I'm very excited to be here to present important information about our program. So the Department of Early Childhood Studies is very unique and special in terms of our high quality training and academic excellence, driven by our dedication to realize this mission statement, which is a slide before. The mission of Department of Early Childhood Studies is to prepare knowledgeable and caring professionals who are committed to contributing to a just society through high quality education and social services for all children and families. And for instance, we are proud of our strong advising team and one of the best four-year graduation rate on campus. So the next slide is showing a screenshot from the Zoom gallery view. And some of you might be already familiar with this kind of a gallery view. And this is a screenshot of our recent meeting and showing faces of our hardworking professors in our department. In the last month since the shelter in place, this is how we professors are communicating and collaborating with each other so that we are dedicated to continue providing high quality education and student-centered support with our students. And we are very proud of our intentional effort to create and sustain supportive relationships with the students, because we believe that students need to feel safe and comfortable in learning new knowledge and being creative. And this is even more true, especially in this challenging situation that each of us are going through. So the next slide is showing us some of the things that professors are doing in the classroom. So as you probably do now, we are doing everything online. And this is one example. We have incorporated this unique situation that we are all experiencing into our courses. For example, this specific one, students did research on different ways that various professionals who work with young children are responding to shelter-in-place directives. Then the next slide is also another example that some of the students are doing right now. Students gather information on COVID-19 resources available for young children and their families, especially in our local communities. So next slide is showing, so as you can see, social justice and community engagement are the big major driving force for what we are doing, and especially establishing relationships and cooperative learning arrangements that foster student engagement. So the next slide is talking about two concentrations that we have: early childhood education and early childhood development. Then if you are interested in working in classrooms such as preschool teachers, preschool administrators, elementary school teachers, and special education teachers, early childhood education concentration is the right concentration for you. But on the other hand, if you are interested in careers beyond the classroom, such as agencies and nonprofit organizations that help children, families, or social work, counseling, play therapy, and child life specialist, early childhood development is the right concentration for you. So please note that some of the career options might need additional training after graduating four-year university. Then I really would like to emphasize that our professors are here, and we do our best to help you follow your passion. And I am very excited to announce that this new concentration is going to start Integrated Teacher Education Program in Special Education. And in 4 years, you are going to get a BA in Early Childhood Studies and a credential in Special Education. It's a little bit intense program, and Dr. Ducey is going to provide more information about this continuation later on. So please stay if you are interested in this path. Now, the next slides are showcasing some of the projects that our students are doing. And this is from EDEC 237, creating environments for young children and families. And this is a course for education concentration, and their project is creating a dream classroom by integrating what students are learning in their university classrooms and also what they are learning in the preschool settings. It's a really fun project. And the next slide is a project from EDEC 460, our introductory research class. And I am teaching this class right now, and it's really, really super fun class. And in this example that you see, this student was interested in issues around poverty and how that influences young children's quality of life and mental health issues such as ADHD, depression, and anxiety. And she created this beautiful infographic to showcase what recent research is telling us. So as you can see from these two samples, the synergy of students learning in university classrooms and also their learning beyond the classroom is really the strength of our department. So now, the next slide is about our children's school. So in addition to working in the college classrooms, students complete at least 3 courses and they spend time working in the field. And one of the valuable resource for us is the children's school located in SSU campus. And the children's school hires about 40 students each semester and offering convenient and flexible job option for our students too. Then students also have opportunities to complete field experiences in community preschools such as Head Start programs and elementary school programs. For instance, this photo was taken at the preschool program on the site of a local elementary school. Then if you are interested in careers outside of the classrooms, of course, you can choose to do field experiences in non-school settings. For instance, the local children's museum, family service agencies, and homeless shelter in our neighboring community. So I would like to highlight that we have a wide range of options available for your goals and passion. So the next slide is about first year learning community. Some of you might have heard about this. This is where first year students have a great opportunity to connect with the university and also other students while taking innovative and academically enriching courses. So if you are interested, our department offers EDEC 160, Social Justice in Childhood and Adolescence, which is covering issues of equality and fairness and how these issues shape identity, childhood, and adolescence. Super fun class. So when you complete orientation this summer, you will receive more information about first year learning community. So please stay tuned. So now, before closing my presentation, we have some testimonials from our recent graduates showing they consistently report really positive experiences in our program. And as I mentioned before, we are consistently recognized by the university for our excellent advising and one of the best four-year graduation rates on campus. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And Dr. Bacigalupa, our department chair, will join us again to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nagase. Our next presentation, there don't seem to be any questions yet. Oh, wait, one is coming up. Here's a question about the early childhood studies major. I just have a couple of minutes for questions for this and then we'll move on. If I have credits for an early childhood major and I'm missing 1 or 2 classes to complete the major, would I be able to take classes at Sonoma to complete it? So this is a question, I believe, from a transfer student. And yes, of course, if you're a transfer student and you have not taken all the child development courses in the sequence, that's fine. You can complete your the classes that you need here. Okay, so I suspect we will get more questions coming in. More questions coming in from people who about the early childhood studies major, but that's okay. We will answer them either if we have time at the end of this program, or as I said, we will, well, I didn't say this. We are actually putting together a document with frequently asked questions, and we're gonna send that link to everybody. And it will come from me, so then you'll have my email address as well. So if you have questions, please let us know, and we will answer them the best that we can. Okay, so we're going to move on and talk about the multiple subject credential program. Again, this is the credential program that you would complete if you want to be an elementary school teacher. And Dr. Rihanna Casessa is going to be our host now.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for attending our presentation in the School of Ed and for considering Sonoma State for your undergraduate experience. I have a little bit of information for you about our multiple subject credential program, so I'm going to share my screen with you. As I am talking about our multiple subject credential program, however, feel free to ask any questions in the chat box, and our department chair, Paula Lane, will either answer within the chat box or will answer your questions at the end of the few minutes I have to talk to you. Okay, so I just have a few minutes to talk to you about our multiple subject credential program. This is the credential that you will be pursuing if you want to be an elementary school teacher. And the reason it is called the multiple subject credential is because you teach all subjects. So you teach multiple subjects that are in the elementary schools. So you'll be teaching math and literacy, social studies, science, arts, PE, everything. And this program does require a bachelor's degree. The most typical way that students or prospective teachers are interested become, the common way that teachers become multiple subject credential holders is after completing a bachelor's degree. So what are some majors that would work for you if you are interested in becoming a teacher after you have your bachelor's degree? We really like you to follow what makes your heart sing. What that means is that passionate teachers really support passionate students. So any major here at Sonoma State or anywhere else will be fine. If you need some suggestions, obviously we have a few of them. Early childhood studies is an excellent major that really gives you some support in understanding children. So that would be an excellent way to start thinking about becoming a teacher. Chicano and Latino studies, or CALS, would also be an excellent choice. We have liberal studies in Hutchins here at Sonoma State. Sociology would be a good idea. Spanish, psychology, women and gender studies, American and multicultural studies, any content area, so English, chemistry, math. Really, absolutely the most important thing for us is that you pursue what makes you happy. And that will give you the foundation that you need in order to become a multiple subject credential holder. We have some program highlights once you enter our program. We have flexible models for completion. So you could complete our credential program in 2 semesters or in 3 semesters. One of the ways that our program is unique is that we offer a full year of student teaching at one site, so at one elementary school. We give you 2 experiences, one in transitional kinder to 2nd grade and another experience in grades 3 through 6. We also place you in cohorts, and what we mean by that is we put multiple student teachers at the same site, and we offer our student teaching seminar on site. This is very different from a lot of our sister institutions who only place 1 or 2 student teachers throughout their respective areas, which can be kind of isolating for the student teachers. And our student teachers are given some choice regarding student teaching placement site. We have a list of partner sites, and we give you the opportunity to kind of rank those sites in order of preference, and we try to give you your top choices. That is also unique. Many of our sister institutions only place you wherever they have connections, and you do not have the opportunity to choose. Within our department, the Literacy Studies and Elementary Education Department, we also house the added bilingual authorization. And this is an added authorization that can be added onto any multiple subject, single subject, or special education credential. So single subject would be middle and high school, and you'll learn about that in a few minutes. And special education would be teaching students with special needs. So if you add bilingual authorization onto any of your credentials, this would allow you to teach in any bilingual or dual language classroom in California or beyond. And the great thing about the added bilingual authorization is you can begin pursuing your coursework as an undergraduate. So the best but not the only majors for adding the bilingual authorization are Chicano and Latino Studies or Spanish. So that provides you a lot of the coursework required for adding the bilingual authorization once you have already completed your credential. We have one candidate who's actually on the line right now. His name is Ramon. And I'm just going to kind of ask him a few questions. He is a current credential candidate. He is bilingual and he grew up in Napa. So he's currently student teaching there, and he hopes to work in Napa as a teacher. So Ramon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you fine. Can you guys hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. I'm so happy to see you. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know that we are all kind of trying to shelter in place and figure out how we can introduce students to our multiple subject credential program. So I just have a few questions for you that I think could really support students in deciding whether Sonoma State is the right choice for them as an undergrad, and then also as a credential student. So my first question for you is, why did you choose Sonoma State as the place where you wanted to get your teaching credential?
Well, I mean, the first and most obvious choice is location. I live in Napa. Sonoma State is close enough that I can drive to and fro. And second of all, it's a great school. I mean, like you said, all the things you mentioned about having the option of what school you're going to be going into, the fact that it's, it's a state school, it's big, but not too big. And, it's in Sonoma County, which is also a very pretty county. It's centrally located. And, I know quite a few people who went to Sonoma State as undergrads, and they don't have anything bad to say about it.
Awesome. Thank you. So as a multiple subject credential candidate, what have been some of the highlights of your experience with us?
I mean, there's two big things about being a credential student. I mean, you have your classes with your professors, and then you have your student teaching with the kids. And so those provide two very different experiences. So, I mean, there's so many things about I started student teaching kindergarten, and they're just the most adorable kids you've ever met, say the silliest things, and they just melt your heart. So, I mean, I can go on and on about the kids. And then when you go into your professor classes, there's just, first and foremost, just the community. You have a professor who's going to be willing to answer any question you have. They have experiences from the field. They're not just talking about theoretical stuff. You can tell them any problem you have in your class, and they'll let you know. But also there's the community between the student teachers. You can talk to them about issues you have, and they're all going through the same thing. And like you said, it's not, you have students that are within your school that know the same teachers, the same students, and that can also provide a support for you when you're having issues, or when you just want to get some help, or trying to bounce ideas off of each other.
I have an additional question that I didn't kind of ask you ahead of time, but I know you're pursuing your bilingual authorization. So why did you choose to add bilingual authorization onto your multiple subject credential?
Well, I think one of the reasons is I am bilingual. So if I already speak Spanish, it's just another extra thing that will help me. But additionally, there's such a high need and demand for bilingual students I've been working in schools for a few years, and one of the things that I see the most is that there's a lot of students who have a high need for a teacher who speaks their language, who understands what they've been through, and it's a need that we haven't been meeting. So my heart goes out to those kids, that having somebody who can just say like, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" is such a big thing that they don't often get when they're in just their regular school careers.
And my last question for you is, do you have any advice for any students who might want to become teachers?
I think there's two things I would say you have to kind of keep in mind when you're trying to be a teacher. First things is you have to be flexible. You're going to have this idea of, oh, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this in my classroom. This is how I'm going to teach this. And then you go do your first lesson and you crash and burn. And you realize everything I thought about this is wrong. Oh my God, I can't. Why is this kid talking? Somebody just ate an eraser. Why is nobody listening to me? And then you're like, you will have an epiphany a day basically for the first few weeks. So you realize, oh, if I do this, then they'll follow this. If I don't do this, then they're not gonna do this. So being flexible and being open to making mistakes and being aware of not everything's gonna work the first time or the 100th time, that's a big thing. And then the second thing you need to be aware of as a teacher is to have perspective. Again, you come in with this preconception of what a teacher is supposed to be like or what kids are supposed to do, but you have to realize these kids come in with an entire life of their own. They have their own experiences, their own beliefs, their own ideas. So you have to be open to teaching them. They're gonna show you what they need to be taught, and it's your job to meet those needs, not the other way around. They're not gonna change themselves for you. You have to adapt to what they're doing and keep that perspective open. And I think if you open up your mind and your heart to those kids, they're gonna let you in right in, and you're gonna find out you're learning just as much from them as you are from yourself.
That is really well said. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Have a good day, Ramon.
Thank you, yes.
So finally, I just wanted to give all of you some of the contact information. If you have any more questions about the multiple subject credential program, you can contact our department chair, Dr. Paula Lane. She also will pop on in a minute to answer any questions that might have come up in the chat box. Our multiple subjects program advisor is Dr. Asia LaDuke. Her contact information is right there. And you can always contact me, Rihanna Casesa, as the bilingual authorization coordinator. So if you are hoping to start some bilingual authorization courses prior to entering our multiple subject credential program, feel free to reach out to me and I can do some support and advising as to what courses would work for you.
Thank you, Dr. Casesa. I think the chat is, there's not any questions up on the chat right now that have not been answered, so we can move ahead to our next program that we're going to be talking about today. So Dr. Fawn Kennedy is going to talk to you about the single subject credential program. And again, that's the credential program that you would complete if you're interested in teaching high school.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Wait, let me make sure I had the... All right, so I'm so excited to see everybody here, and I'm so inspired by what we've heard already. And actually, I feel like I'm going to build on a lot of what was already said, and then fill you in a little bit on what's unique about curriculum studies and secondary education department. So like I said, my name is Dr. Fawn Kennedy. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Education. My area of expertise is in secondary English education, adolescent and digital literacies. And I'm going to, whenever I refer to our really long department, Curriculum Studies and Secondary Education, I'll say CSSE. So the single subject credential is essentially preparation for teaching in secondary schools. That's middle schools, junior high schools, and senior high schools. And our primary goals for you is to help you develop the skills and knowledge you'll need to become an effective beginning teacher in these settings, and to establish professional attitudes for professional growth throughout your career. We, as you can see in our vision statement, we're very much a justice-focused education department. We believe in advancing social justice in schools and communities through excellence in education, and we feel that we do that through our teacher preparation. Our core values reflect that, examining and respecting human differences and inclusivity, believing that collaboration and community partnerships strengthen our work, taking a critical and reflective stance in light of educational and social inequities, a commitment to equity and access in education for all students, and promoting meaningful learning through theoretically sound and research-based teaching practices. And essentially what that means is that we focus across all of the different disciplines on helping you become a teacher that not only teaches a content area, but also focuses on really moving youth forward. So many of you will start out with a major, very much like the multiple subject. And so if you love English, if you love math, if you love music or history, you get to do what, and I love what Dr. Casesa said, really focus on what makes your heart sing. And so then the big question is, so why work with youth? And I thought that it would probably be best to hear that from some of the candidates that are in the field right now. And so I have some video that I shot from some Zoom meetings with Blake and Jake and Ted, who are current student teachers in the field and are experiencing distance learning with their students through COVID. And as you can see, they're still very much engaged, very much inspired by the work that they're doing, and want to encourage you to keep working towards your goals in education.
My name is Jake Stroop. I chose Sonoma State. The way that they support you in the whole process, and they really offer you a lot of different options and opportunities to develop as a student and express your interests and talents.
The reason why I chose SSU was because I decided to become a public school teacher, and where better to go than to my local public college, my state school. So, and I wanted to stay local because I want to work local. So SSU was just kind of the perfect fit.
It's an enjoyable job. You get to work with kids. They're fun to work with. And then also, you can make a huge difference for the people you work with, help them be successful and help them figure out what they want to do with their lives. And finally, I love teaching English because you can read and write about anything, and there are so many ways that you can enrich the subject with your own experiences and interests and things like that.
I had a lot of background with working with that age group, so I knew that I liked them, and I liked their impulsivity and their know-it-allness and their capacity to find new things really interesting.
You know, it's funny. You go into teaching thinking it's all about geeking out on literature, but then it turns out you fall in love with helping the kids. You know, we don't just teach the content, we teach the students. And, you know, I've been really surprised by how it turns out to be really a vocation, more of a calling than, you know, than just sort of fun work.
I think my students are definitely my favorite thing, and I miss them. Like, I just got an email from a student and it like lit up my whole day. I was like, hi, I haven't talked to you in a while. He just had a silly question about an assignment, but like, you know, it was exciting. So I think that's my favorite thing, is probably them.
One cool thing that's happened to me is that I've had a lot of students come up to me and say, I really like that lesson. I really learned something new from that. This is one of my best classes. This is really working for me. And that was just a very rewarding thing to hear and experience.
The amount that the students just need engagement, not even that, you know, teaching to the standards or any of that, but these connections that we make with students last beyond just the classroom. You know, I got to talk for 20 minutes over Zoom with a student the other day. And like, yeah, we talked about the assignment, you know, but really we were just talking, and I got to be an adult in her life who she could talk to that was outside of her house. about things going on in her life. And that was really great for me and for her. And I don't think
I miss my students so much. I miss just hanging out. You know, when we go to office hours and teachers meetings on Zoom, we just gossip so much. And, you know, I miss just hanging out with other teachers, being in the teacher room, just having that feeling of camaraderie and solidarity.
So one of the things that I thought of when I was listening to Ramon is I had to edit down so much content or so much from our discussion, and they really reflected the importance of teachers in the lives of children. But there are lots of other opportunities that open up when you get a credential in education. I, for example, have worked in school district level positions ranging from educational technology, girls in tech, to blended learning environments, and even with new teachers. There are lots of other opportunities. I have graduate students who are working for nonprofits and maker spaces. You just never know what will come up, but one thing that does resonate in all of the stories is this really deep and abiding love for the young people that we work with. So in middle and high school education jobs, if you're here in this session right now, you know that a great teacher has the power to change lives and ignite a passion for lifelong learning. And I think that's why it's so important to really focus on what makes your heart sing. The single subject credential allows you to teach in a specific subject, such as English, math, science, social studies, music, art, languages, any of the majors that were mentioned prior to this as well. And while all subjects taught in public schools are important, there's also a critical shortage in particular subject areas. And so we have great success with our candidates getting jobs, but any of these high need subject areas such as math, science, and Spanish also have critical shortages. So if you are a math or a science major, or in a major that's similar to that, why would you be interested in teaching high school or math or science? To prepare the future generation to think critically and creatively, to become mathematically and scientifically literate. Again, can't say it enough, there's a high demand for you. You are needed. You also, if you're thinking in about teaching in one of these high need areas, know that there's additional support out there for you as well, such as undergraduate advising, programs that offer financial support and additional teaching and mentoring as well. Of course, all of our candidates, and I'll talk about this in just a moment, get lots of support. You can earn a degree in anything, but preferably in math, science, or engineering, and complete your math, science, or subject matter preparation program, or pass the subject matter tests, and then apply for the credential program. And so that's the thing about as you've heard about the credential program, is that you begin by majoring in what you love. And then during your undergraduate courses, you can take foundational courses that tie into your major, but we also have prerequisites like 417, Education 417, Schools and Society. Really exciting right now as we're dealing with all sorts of critical issues in education that have come up through COVID. I'm teaching that right now, very much enjoying all of the different ways that we can think about subjects like business, social justice, lots of different things. We also have development in adolescent and emerging adulthood. And after you earn your degree, then you come to us. We finally get to work with you on that one-year credential program after you earn your degree. The first phase, you will be placed in a school that you will then spend the next year. Your coursework will address different aspects of teaching and includes observation, an opportunity for you to try out teaching, develop relationships with your mentor teacher and with your students, get to know your school, and all of the methods courses, regardless of what subject matter you're going to teach, have different ways that we prepare you to teach in the classroom, and there's a really close connection between what we do in the field, in your classroom placements, and in your methods courses, and all of your coursework. Phase 2, you move into student teaching, and that's where Jake, Blake, and Ted are in their placement right now. And that includes a seminar with your fellow student teachers. And as their field supervisor and several others, I meet with them every week. I go into the classrooms and get to observe them. So you would be working on 4 different courses within your school placement, taking over for 4 weeks by the end of the semester, a full immersion process, and there's nothing more rewarding. So in CSSE, we have to wait a little bit for you to get to us, to become knowledgeable, to develop your talents, to really work on a degree in what you love, but you are worth the wait. And as you can see from what you heard from Ramon and Blake and Jake and Ted, and what I heard from many others this past week who are still in the field missing their students through distant learning, is that they are worth the wait also. If there are any questions, you can connect me personally, kennedys@sonoma.edu. Dr. Kelly Estrada, our department chair, is also in the chat room right now. So if there are any questions, we're happy to take those, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Looks like we're just rolling along here right on time, which is great. So we have had a few questions in the chat box about the ITEP in special education. So that's great because we're leading right into our next presentation. Dr. Elizabeth Ducey will talk to you about the Education Specialist Credential Program, which is the one that you would do if you're interested in teaching special education.
Hi, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Ducey, and I'm the advisor for the Special Education Department. So if you were really interested in what Early Childhood Studies was saying about how you can pursue both your undergraduate degree in Early Childhood Studies alongside your Special Education Teaching Credential, then I am a person who can help you navigate that interest and making that interest develop into a reality here at Sonoma State. So I'm going to go ahead and provide a brief overview of our program, but again, I will end with contact information so you'll have the tools to connect with myself or other members of our faculty to talk more about the program. So here's our full-time faculty. We are a small but mighty group, and we all have a different interest in different aspects of special education, different research interests, which we all bring to each of our classes and our interactions and our lenses. But we also all have experience with children with disabilities. We've all taught, we've all been in your shoes where you are now, trying to figure out what are those steps to make that a reality. And so we have a strong commitment to research to practice. So we're able to pull from our own experiences, we're able to pull from the literature and the research, and then we also get you in the field right away. So your very first semester with us here at Sonoma State, you will be in the classrooms. And so you have this unique opportunity to take what you're learning about in the class at Sonoma State and apply it directly to what you're seeing out in the field. And that's actually true throughout our program. So in every semester, you'll have a strong opportunity to be out into that field. So what exactly is special education? So I'm going to provide just a nutshell definition and overview of what the field is about. So special education involves providing an individualized education to a child who has an identified disability. And so, for example, you're providing specialized academic instruction, you're providing behavioral supports, you're providing communication supports, whatever that child needs to not only access the general education curriculum, but to make progress and to thrive in the general education curriculum. So special education falls under the federal legislation of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And under that, it provides services, special education provides services from 0, so from birth, all the way up until ages 22. So again, you have this wonderful opportunity to support children with delays, with disabilities across their full lifespan in special education. I do want to point out that kind of your starting point here at Sonoma State is with school age. So with the preliminary credential, including the ITEP credential, which is that 4-year program under early childhood studies, you'll start with a credential that'll prepare you to teach kindergarten all the way up until 12th grade. So you're meeting the needs of children who are 5 all the way up until 22. With 22, you do have some children, or I should say young adults, who need some support, some transitional support. So you'll be in a transition program. So that's kind of the starting point. We do also have here at Sonoma State, we also have an added authorization. So once you're done with your first credential, your preliminary credential, you can stick around for another semester and 1 summer and take a few more courses and field work and add on an added authorization to allow you to work with infants, toddlers, and preschoolers and their families who have disabilities to help support them. The field of special education is incredibly diverse. So not only are you being able to support children who are in kindergarten and up, or if you add that added authorization for infants and toddlers, but you have this full range of settings that you can work in. So you might be in a general education classroom working very closely with the general education teacher to provide services, or perhaps you're in a self-contained classroom and you have children that come to you maybe an hour a day to get intensive math instruction. And then you have another group coming to you later in the day to get intensive reading instruction for an hour, and then they go back to general education. Or perhaps you're pushing in and providing those services. Or perhaps you work at a non-public school, or you might work in hospital settings, or you might go into the homes of children with disabilities who are receiving services in the home. We also have 2 different credential options. So these are specializations. So one thing that you'll need to decide, and you don't need to decide that right now, of course, but something you want to think about is the population of students that you would like to work with. So right now we have a mild moderate specialization. So this is working with children who perhaps have a type of learning disability, maybe like dyslexia, and who need some extra instruction, targeted instruction, and maybe they just have 1 or 2 goals in reading. Or perhaps you're working with children with autism who not only need specialized academic support, but maybe also need some behavioral support as well. We also have a specialization of extensive needs. So these are children who, and young adults who might have an intellectual disability or a hearing impairment or have multiple disabilities and need more intensive supports. So you would work with a team of professionals to ensure that that child is progressing along in their IEP goals, as well as in the general education curriculum. So of course, all of you come here into your interest of pursuing a special education degree. You come here with your own reasons of why you want to be a special educator. So perhaps you yourself have a disability and you want to get back to the field, or perhaps you had a positive experience as a peer buddy in high school and that piqued your interest into the field. So I'm going to build on all of your own ideas for and your own reasons for being a special education teacher. So at Sonoma State, in our program, we are committed to ensuring that you are learning those skills and the knowledge and skills needed to be a special education teacher. So part of that involves learning evidence-based instruction, meaning that this is instructional strategies and approaches that have been supported in the research to be effective for people with disabilities. So you're learning evidence-based instruction, you're learning high leverage practices to support children. Along with inclusive educational practices. We are, as a faculty and as a school, we're committed to inclusive educational experiences and community experiences for individuals with disabilities. You'll also learn how to collaborate with families, work very closely with families, and as well as other specialists. So for example, speech pathologists, occupational therapists, all of us coming together to provide supports for children with disabilities, as well as how to become an informed advocate for your students and their families. In addition to those reasons of why you should become a special education teacher, it's this incredible opportunity to make a difference in the life of a child who may have experienced difficulties in school. And so you have an opportunity to work very closely with them and to celebrate in their successes and celebrate when they do make progress. And to pull from my own experience, it's also a wonderful opportunity to grow yourself. I know when I think about my experience that I had with my students with intellectual disabilities, I certainly learned a lot about the power of human diversity and neurodiversity. So again, you have this opportunity to not only make the difference in the life of a child, but also contribute to your own growth as well. There's a high need for special education teachers across the board, not just here in California, but also across the nation. There's always a shortage for special education teachers. So there's certainly job growth and job opportunity for you when you finish your degree here. And as well as specifically, there's a high need for culturally and linguistically diverse special education teachers. We certainly want our educators to reflect and match the diversity that we're seeing in our student population. Now, we talked about the what, the why, and now we're getting to the how. So how to become a special education teacher. Here at Sonoma State, there's really two different tracks, two different ways that you can do that. The early childhood department has already touched on that first one. But that first one is, again, we call it the ITEP program for short, and that'll prepare you to teach children who are 5 to 22 in special education. This is the one that allows you to get the early childhood studies plus the BA credential, plus the special education credential in 4 years. If you are going this route, I do recommend highly that as soon as you start with us in August, that you reach out both to the early childhood advisor and myself as well to say, yes, I'm interested, because we want to make sure that we're working very closely to make sure all of your ducks are in a row to make this 4 years a reality. I do have to say the exception to those 4 years, if you're coming in as a transfer student, sometimes just depending on the required courses that you still need for the early childhood department, it might bump you out another semester, but that's still certainly a lot faster than having to do the 4 years, stop, and then come back on for 1.5 years. So there's still benefits to that. So that's one way. The second way is to come that kind of that traditional way. So let's say that maybe you don't want to go into early childhood studies. Maybe you want to go into business, or you want to pursue another area of interest. That is certainly okay. So we do not require that you study a certain undergraduate major. You can come in, we've had people who come in with science degrees and they're in our program and they're able to finish it within 3 semesters. So if you go that traditional route where you go student teach, that does take 3 semesters. As well as we also have an intern option after your first semester. That means that you're able to get a job as a special education teacher while you finish your credential coursework. That's certainly something you don't have to decide now, but if you do decide to go the second route of becoming a special ed teacher, I do suggest again that you don't wait too long. Maybe your junior year you start to meet with myself or somebody else in our department to talk about what you have to do to make that a seamless transition. And finally, I have this last point starred because it is that early childhood special education added authorization that I mentioned earlier. So you would need to first complete a credential either that first way or that second way, and then you could add this on. And if you add this on, then that does authorize you to work with infants, toddlers, and preschoolers with delays or established disabilities, and to work incredibly close with their families. For example, as an early interventionist, you might be going into their homes, or with preschool children, you're certainly still working very close with their families. So again, that is special education in a nutshell. We'll have a time for questions. I know many of you are going to be popping in some questions into that chat box, and our department head, Dr. Sandra Ayala, is fielding those responses. So again, here's our contact information. I encourage you to visit our website for more detailed information, and do not hesitate to reach out to any of us. Thank you.
Okay, I see some questions coming in. I think we're going to end up answering most of those in the chat box because we're running out of time. But I do want to, I'll try and do a couple of them, as many as I can. Okay, so the question came up earlier from several people, so I do want to address a question about the differences between Hutchins and the Early Childhood Studies program. So the first thing to say, again, is that you should major in the thing that makes your heart sing, the thing that you feel passionate about. So that's the main way to think about those two things. If you want to be an elementary teacher, a special education teacher, you can major in absolutely anything. And then again, if you want to teach high school, then you think about the subject that you want to teach in high school, and then that's probably your best major. But any of us can talk to you more in depth about that. Hutchins is a program that has a specific pedagogy. They're a liberal studies program, so you study across disciplines. It's very heavy reading based and very heavily discussion based. So the main way that students learn that program is they read books and they discuss them in small groups. In early childhood studies, we're more focused on development, children's development, and we are what I would call more hands-on. We try to get you into the field as often as we can, and even when we're in a college classroom, we pull out the blocks and we pull out the books, and we're doing things, and we do a lot of small group work, a lot of talking about what would we do with children with these materials. We have you doing observations. We use videos to practice doing observations for a variety of careers, not just teaching. So it's just a different way of approaching different subject matters. And again, you should think about which one sounds like the way that you would like to be spending your time while you're here in college. The questions, okay, so it looks like most of the questions are being, that have come in recently are being answered in the chat box. So I think I'm going to leave the questions. We're just about out of time. So I'm going to say thank you for attending the School of Education information session. We are sorry that our time with you has been so limited, and we are especially sorry that we have not been able to talk to you in person. Typically at a Seawolf Decision Day, we're here and we get to talk to you, and it's really a lot of fun. So what we can say again is please send us your questions. We are eager to help you in any way that we can. We very much want to help you make the decision that's the right decision for you, right? You only get to go to college once, and we want to make sure that you make a really good decision for yourself. And we very, very much hope that we are going to be talking to you in the fall. I know that the university has other programs now, financial aid and other services that the university offers. So, I think please feel free to leave this meeting and head on over to the next session that you are thinking about doing. Thank you again.